NBA champion, and he's also an analyst for FSN1. And Antoine Walker, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
Man, thanks for having me on.
All right, I got to get right to it because some Warrior fans are still a little hot at you for this. Tell me if you're still thinking this way.
When you talk about the best players in this series, I think it goes Ja Morant, Jordan Poole, then Steph Curry. Jordan Poole is the best player on the Warriors right now.
Oh, man, fans are going crazy out here.
Hey,
Antoine.
Walker.
Yeah, but you got to remember the time when I was asked that question. I think it was either after the second game of the series or third in that series. And I think Jordan Poole had a big game one and a good game two. I'm not sure the stats, but he was playing really, really well at that point when I made that statement. So it was all right. Steph, it may have woke Steph up. You never know.
Antoine, let me ask you about Andrew Wiggins, who, when he came to town, Antoine, I really thought this guy always had the gifts, but mentally, he wasn't aggressive as a lot of people wanted him to be. But as you watched, it's kind of been his coming out party, and I sit back like, okay, he's had the athletic tools. What do you think is making him be ultra aggressive now?
Well, I think it's the team. I think I think the injuries helped him. I think a lot of people don't like to talk about that, but Clay missing a significant amount of time. Steph was hurt. Been hurt a little bit over the last couple of years. And so is Draymond. So it's allowed him to continue to develop his offensive game. I think that offense works really well for him, where it takes away from him having to, go one-on-one and do a lot of things as a scorer because they have so much. They have great ball movement. They got great shooters. The floor is spaced so well. And he's so athletic. He fits right into what they do offensively. And I think that's why he's had a lot of success. And Steve Kerr's kept him in a great role. He defends the best wing player every night. He gives them great effort and energy in that department, but he also doesn't have to have 25 to be effective, and you saw that this year by him getting selected to the All-Star team. Just by being, a great wingman, a great role player, doing the little things on the floor, and he got rewarded for that, and I think that took him to another level.
NBA champion Antoine Walker joining us on 95.7 The Game. Antoine, what's the difference between the Celtics under Brad Stevens and the Celtics under Ime Udoka, and how was he able to push him into the finals? What do you think the big change was?
Sometimes a different voice. Brad Stevens is coming from as a college coach, and obviously he's had success when he was a pro coach. But I think Udoka's been around a lot of great superstars, KD, being in San Antonio with that big three and those guys, being around those type of guys and being an ex-player, I think really worked. But I do give Brad Stevens credit. The media and all of us tried to, not me per se, but not even you guys, I don't know if you guys did, but a lot of people tried to force the Celtics to break Jason Tatum up and Jaylen Brown up. But Brad Stevens stayed firm and allowed Udoka to coach those guys and figure it out. But I just think that different voice and coaching those guys, other superstars allowed him to be able to come in and be able to coach Jaylen and Jason the right way.
Antoine, I know you're not a mind reader, but when I look at this Celtic team and the fact they shocked me when they stopped KD and Kyrie or made it more difficult, did the same thing with Giannis and Jimmy Butler, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a Celtic player and now we stopped those three guys or kept them at bay, had to deal with them, and now we face this Warrior team, is there anybody on this Warrior team athletically that you think may have this Celtic team kind of shaking in their boots?
Maybe not athletically, but I think the ball movement, one thing that's made Golden State great through this run is kind of the team that we saw years ago where they would get 25, 30 assists. You will see 5 and 6 guys in double figures, and we're starting to see that again. That's what we saw this year on their run to the finals. It hasn't been Steph Curry for big outbursts of 35, 40-point games or Klay Thompson. It's been a very balanced attack. You add the Jordan Pooles, Andrew Wiggins, even Looney. I thought Looney was great in the last series as well against the Dallas Mavericks. And then they're getting production. They're going down the bench, and they've been able to play a couple of their rookies significant minutes. So I just think the whole balanced attack is what made Golden State really, really good, and Boston has to be prepared for that. and Boston is as deep as Golden State as well. So they'll be able to match up with that when, obviously Golden State goes to their bench, the Celtics can go to their bench and get production. So this should be a great series, man. This got star power. Both of these teams balance out, match up really well. I don't think one team has that big of an advantage either way. And it's going to come down to coaching, who can make the adjustments, and what player can get going for a significant amount of time, can put together 3 or 4 good games.
NBA champion Antoine Walker joining us on 95.7 The Game. Antoine, I want to ask you about three-point shooting, because obviously it's become a huge part of the NBA, and out here with Curry and Clay, we're kind of at the forefront of it. But I'm looking at your career, and you came into the league. You averaged 2 threes a game, then 3, then 4, then back to 3. But in 2000-2001, you took a major jump, 7.5, 8, 7.5. Can you remember kind of what happened at that point in your career where you started taking, and maybe, why did it just become at that point a shot that you took way more of?
For me, it was an advantage. I was a guy that could space the floor for my size, so it became an advantage for me on the offensive end, especially at the power forward position. I came into the league as a small forward, and I played small forward with the Heat and also played small forward with the Mavericks. So I went from the 3 and the 4 back and forth throughout my career. But for me, it was more of just an advantage. It allowed me to be in a half pick and rolls. I could use my ball handling ability and my passing ability. So it was more for a weapon for me. And then when I played for Jim O'Brien, when he took over for Rick Pitino, he really opened up the floodgates for me and told me anytime I feel like I had an open look, take it. And you can't tell a player that. I may have taken advantage of it, but I wasn't a high percentage 3-point shooter. I was a volume 3-point shooter. I could make the big ones. I was going to make the big ones, and obviously if you leave me open, I can make it. But he really opened up the floodgates for me. But it was more of a weapon for me.
Was there so you were probably one of the original stretch 4s, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. There were some other guys that could stretch the floor with their ball handling, but none of them really probably shot the 3 like I did. Lamar Odom was a stretch 4 at that time. And, it was some different guys. Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan were guys that can go to about the 15-foot range. They wasn't shooting threes. Rasheed Wallace was stretching the floor at the 4 position. So it was different guys. I wish I was playing this era. I probably missed out on about $50 or $100 million not being able to play in this era.
Antoine, I was telling my partner about the Boston fans, and I know my history about what Bill Russell went through, and I know we're in a different era now. I remember Torrey Hunter. He was a visiting player playing at Fenway, and some racial things were said to him. Can I ask you how your experience was in Boston and with the fans? Did you experience anything like that?
I didn't, but the Boston fans were tough on me. They were actually great, and they were tough on me. They're one thing about Boston fans, they're diehard sports fans. So that's a great thing. If you're a player, you want to be around fans that understand the game and know what's going on. That's why you see an ML Carr and a Walter McCarty and some of the guys that may have not had bigger careers are beloved. Scalabrini, they're beloved in Boston because the Boston faithful know how valuable they are to teams and know the little things and value they bring to a team. But I didn't feel that. I think they welcomed me with open arms. I came to Boston at 19. And they really embraced me and made me a part of the community and a part of Celtic, the organization. So I have nothing but great things. To this day, I consider the Celtics my second home. I spent a lot of time up there. I hope to catch a couple games here in the finals. But I'm a firm supporter of the Celtics, and I always root for them.
Antoine, thank you so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
All right, thank you. That's Antoine Walker.